It's the Aubrey Show with our special guest star, Asshole. Hello and welcome to the Aubrey Show, the only show where we talk about assholes when I am one. That did not go as well as I thought it would, but I'm not going to reshoot it because I probably don't have time. The only show where we don't reshoot things. Now I've lost the pacing too. Okay, so this is gonna be a bit of explaining, but I just recently watched The Social Network. It came back on Netflix, featuring Andrew Garfield and Jesse Eisenberg. Eisenberg? Fuck if I know. Um, Point being, two very influential actors, but the at least twice the word asshole was used. Once in the beginning when the main character, who is Mark Zuckerberg, but he's played by Jesse Eisenberg, um, is called an asshole by his ex girlfriend, and the second, when at the end of the movie, the character who really didn't show up enough for me to super remember them, they're like a jury chooser, um, tells Mark, "Hey, you're not an asshole. You're just trying really hard to be," which is odd. So I wanted to take a second to step back and examine how assholery kind of functions. Um, and by examine, I mostly mean I get to talk about it, and then you get to draw your own conclusions because I came into this with no plan and no knowledge. What we got right here is a little asshole peach. Don't ask why I colored it like that. It's because it was the first recommended thing to color it like. So I made little layers for us so that we can properly examine kind of the best kinds and then the worst kinds of assholery. And I don't consider myself an expert on this at all. I encourage you to make your own kind of peach, flip it around based on your personal experiences, or just, if you know anything about the subject, fucking go off. I don't think that's a field of study, but, go wild. But this is just going to be my personal thoughts as we go through this. And hell, let's actually just make all of the little fucking guys right here right now. Okay. This might be a short episode, I just realized. So, what do we got here? I mean, first things first, I was already planning on just, kind of doing this first thing. This is going to be the unknowing ass hat. So this is the idea of the guy who doesn't know he's being a dick, but he's still being a dick. Maybe he does it every once in a while. So people call him an asshole, but he's not he's not trying to be an asshole. He just kind of ends up being just through pure ignorance, which isn't good. They're still an asshole, but yeah. It's more bearable than a lot of the other types, definitely. For the second one, actually, let's just see if we can skip straight to. There's definitely going to be some in-between ground here, but we're going to have the knowing ass hat. Why do I keep using asshole? Okay. I just really like the word ass hat, I think. It's like a hat for your ass. So that's honestly going to be in the very center for me. Actually, let's move that out. Copy and paste it. Because I want to do the enjoying. Actually, fuck it. Let's just cut off. This is a sadist. This type of person hurts you for their own pleasure. They know it, and that is, that is going to require some serious. Yeesh. Um, and actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to say that I personally, and I don't expect anybody else to adopt this type of thinking, but I personally am of the belief that nobody is really like, um, nobody's permanently unintentional. Let's add that in. An intentional asshole. Wait, that's the knowing asshole. Sorry. Nobody. Jesus. I fucked that up. I don't even know. Okay. I don't know how I screwed that up. Anyways, nobody is intentionally a knowing asshole for long. My personal opinion. I mean, that I might be wrong there, genuinely. Um, but I think that people will inherently try to change and improve. And it's pretty weird to just assume, when somebody's a knowing asshole once, they're going to be that way forever. I think that that's a very sectioned off way of thinking. And you gotta try and sort people into other categories, you know? And sadists are like cartoon villains. I've genuinely never met one, but I'm sure that they exist somewhere because that is how humans work. So, anyways, the one that I wanted to add is is I want to add a against nature. Um, or I guess it shouldn't be against nature, but no, because this is just and some people might actually want this like lower on the list because it does mean that they have to be a inherent type of like sadist type person. But there are people out there who are naturally an asshole, and they kind of um, go against that. And right after I make this little list thing, I will be going into that a little bit further. Just because that's something. That's something. Um, Copy, paste. What do I fill this final little thing with? Now, this might not be genuinely like something that I can fill. But let's go with unknowing, against nature, and then knowing and sadist. Now, I will say against natures might be lower because they are knowing, like they are aware of it, but I don't know if they cannot fix it or at least cannot immediately change their nature. It's hard to say. So that's against nature. Let's go with avoiding S. Does that mean that they realize that it's a bad thing? And they think that they might be one, but they don't want to be sure because that would require them to take any sort of responsibility over their actions. And that is definitely something that I feel is really easy to get somebody out of. You just gotta tell them that they're able to. They will try and fix themselves because they know that it's a bad thing already. So we have this nice little infographic, and yeah, that's good for me. So you can definitely make your own. Now I'm going to move on to another section that has a little bit more to do with this social network specifically. So okay, so at this point, some of you are rightfully asking, How is somebody against nature asshole? I don't think that there's an asshole nature. And I'd like to go back to The Social Network for that, because I don't think that the thing that that girl said at the end was this microphone doesn't work, by the way. I've been fucking lying. And by lying, I mean just implying that it does work. No, this is completely useless. I just like holding it. So, the girl says in the end, and I haven't looked this up, so maybe somebody explains it better, but she says you're trying to be an ass. I don't get that vibe from Mark. What I do get is, and I don't know if this is offensive, because I'm not like super don't want to say anything actually. But I'm getting neurodivergent type of vibes, and I might be wrong there, but I think it's very possible. And with how the movie portrayed him, it seems very likely that he has something like, Asperger's. He just seems like one of those savants, you know, which seems entirely possible. Um, but the girl tells him that he's trying to be an ass, and I would like to point out something about neurodivergent people that I do feel showed really well in the movie. Just because he wasn't like super an ass through the entire movie. He definitely had emotional bouts. He was likely envious at some point. Um, you know, he had those human things, but he went through them differently, and he went through them in such a way that made him come off as much more of an asshole than he really was. I think he was genuinely trying to be a good friend to Eduardo, so that definitely really hurt to see on film, which means it's a good film. It's a very good film. And I do feel like it's interesting that was never brought up. I'm definitely going to have to look more into it, because it seems like a very important thing to mention in a movie about him, and arguably about his struggles. He went through a very similar experience to a lot of people that have that type of, thing. I mean, of course, without the absurd amounts of success, but still with some success, of course. But I'm getting away from myself. The point is, he definitely did some assholish things. And you could argue that it was inherently in his nature to be one. But I do think he tried to go against that nature for his friend. Did not work. Tried to go against that nature for a lot of people because he didn't want to harm them necessarily. Just didn't know how. And I encourage you to find out how you would personally rate that on an asshole scale, because I don't blame you if you put it higher necessarily. There's definitely some interesting thoughts to be had there, and I can't have all of them. I have my own personal set. But that might genuinely wrap me up for today. It was still a relatively short episode, but we did make the asshole page, so that's an advantage. If you are neurodivergent and you're struggling with social interactions, and you're coming off as an asshole to people that you don't want to come off as an asshole to, I'd like to say, I appreciate you, definitely. A lot of people do genuinely appreciate you. And if they knew that you were trying, then they would appreciate you even more. So, feel free to reach out to me if you need anything. Because this will reach nobody. I had 0 engagement, and I don't expect to have any. But if there is any, feel free to reach out to me, because I will always offer you help if you need it. I feed off of it. I'm a fucking empath. The mic doesn't work. Christmas.